Hey guys, welcome to the Elevation Outreach all staff meeting, kind of pre-record slash me going over my talking points for this evening. I wanted to make sure that you could hear me and see me, and we could have a little face-to-face time here as you prepare for Love Week and the different things we've got going on with Outreach this spring. And I wanted to thank you in advance for all that you do. I know that Love Week is not the only time that you're serving. I know there's stuff going on every single week. We serve more than 40 events every single month across all of our campuses. And so thank you, because I know that your work really enables other people to be the hands and feet of Christ. And we're making a big impact together, and we couldn't do it without you. So thank you, thank you, thank you for doing that. Thank you for leading the way. Thank you for showing your city that Elevation is here to say that. Thank you for sharing the love of Christ and loving people, and just thanks for being awesome. Thank you for giving your best effort. Colossians 3:17 says, whatever you do, whether in word or deed, do it all in the name of the Lord your God, giving thanks to God the Father through him. Whatever, planning a painting project, transporting goods, all of it is glorifying to God when you do it to the best of your abilities. And I am confident that we have the absolute best outreach team on the entire planet. Thank you for working so hard. Thank you for making an impact, and thank you for selflessly giving yourself to the gospel. I really believe that people's lives are being changed because of the work that you're doing. Now tonight I have a number of things I want to go over, and I wanted to kind of start off and just talk about the impact that we're making together at Outreach. As we finished up last year and we started preparing to do the annual report, I started just considering what kind of impact are we making as a church? Is it deep? Is it wide? What difference are we really making? We just passed giving $20 million away as a church. That's a lot of money. We've served a ton of hours. What have we really done? Have we really made an impact? And maybe that's cynical me. But I sat down and I wanted to make sure that the time that we're investing, the time that I'm investing, is making a significant impact. And so made a list, and I think we are both deep and I think we are wide. And I wanted to share a list of things because I think it's overwhelming. And whether or not you're a part of a central team overseeing a lot of these different areas, or if you are specific to one organization, us as a church, when we're giving and we're a part of this team, we're doing all of these things. And it's super overwhelming for me. And I want you to be encouraged by it, because we're that church that's supporting students in mentoring initiatives through our partners like Right Moves for Youth and Urban Promise and Governor's Village. We're the first responders when there's a natural disaster with our partners like Samaritan's Purse and Convoy of Hope. We're the church that's working with organizations to end chronic homelessness. We're the church that's collaborating with organizations like Center City Partners to provide affordable housing in our city. We're supporting sports ministries like Project 658 and 17, so people can use sports as a way to develop relationships and share Christ. We're the church that's providing emergency financial support, so someone that is so terrified that they're going to be evicted from their home can stay in it, or their lights won't be cut off, or their water can be turned on. We're the church that's putting an end to human trafficking with our partners like the A21 campaign. We're the church that's helping teen moms navigate through a new season of life and graduate from high school with safe journey. We're the church that is providing clean water all across the world through our partnership with Water Missions. We're feeding hungry families with Second Harvest Food Bank and Feeding America. We're the church that's partnering with the Urban Ministry Centers in Charlotte, Raleigh, and Durham to support homeless men and women. We're the church that's providing job training all around the world through E3 Partners and Goodwill Industries. We're supporting families through really hard times with Hope Cancer Ministries, the Autism Foundation, Johnny and Friends, the ALS Association, Down Syndrome Associations. We're the church that's helping kids learn to read through the YMCA, Read Charlotte, and Freedom Schools. We're helping veterans find housing through Patriot Charities and Operation Homefront, and we're helping refugees in Syria. We're doing a lot, and it's wide. It's wide for sure. And I think that's a really great thing, because our church is huge, but it also gives everyone an opportunity at some point to make a really deep impact. Because if you think about it, that deep impact happens with one person, because every number, every one of these represents a significant amount of reach, but it also results in a really cool, like deep connection with people. And I got a super cool story the other day. I met a girl at the Orange Tent, and when I found out how she got to Elevation, I said, I need you to write that down. That's going to encourage our team for sure. And I'm just going to read the letter. It's super long. And truth be told, I tried to read this letter one other time, and I got lost, and I just started this whole thing over again. So this is take 2 at it. But as we prepare for Love Week, I want you to have this person in mind, because I think that this is kind of what I'm hoping happens over and over again. She wrote it to me. She said, Dear Jamie, I grew up in a Catholic household in Detroit. My mom laid a great foundation of faith, but it was one that eventually developed into fear-based, guilt-ridden relationship with God. When I left the house, I put space between God and I pursued instant gratification in whatever form it came in. By January 1st, 2014, I moved in with my long-term boyfriend. I knew that God was pulling me from that situation a couple months into it, but I didn't know what to do. A few short months after moving in, I can only describe this as supernatural experience, but I woke up, told him I'd be moving out. I left him, packed all my bags, and went. This is where Elevation came in. I moved in with a girl that I met off of Craigslist. Time out. I just don't feel like that's the best thing. You got to be really careful. So that might not, I don't know, that kind of scares me, but this one worked out, so maybe it's okay, but just be careful. Time back in. I met a girl off of Craigslist, and almost instantly the invitations to church came. Tasha was relentless. Every single Sunday the invitations came, but every single Sunday I declined. The truth is, every Sunday I was incapacitated from numbing the pain that I felt from walking out on a life that I worked so hard to build. I surrounded myself with people who encouraged the cycle of numbing that disappointment through substance abuse and repeated that cycle 7 days a week. It got bad. I found myself in some terrible situations and only turned to God when I was thanking Him for letting me survive another dangerous night of partying, or when I was begging Him to take the headaches away. Eventually, the invitation to church stopped, but in its place came the invitation to volunteer. Tasha's church, which I had started referring to as a cult after I had read some newspaper articles and saw the bumper stickers, was hosting something called Love Week. After telling her no enough times for her church invitation, I told her I would volunteer if she would get off my back, but I was not going to church. She agreed and signed us up for an event at the Urban Ministry Center. That Saturday, we went to the Urban Ministry Center. We were assigned to prep lockers that were utilized for the neighbors for painting. We spent the next few hours cleaning and painting locker rooms, or cleaning and taping lockers, occasionally stopping to talk to whoever was trying to use their locker while we were working on it. A man named Joseph and I struck up a conversation. He struggled with alcohol and spent 5 years in prison, causing him not to be able to secure stable employment. It's natural for me to job coach people and encourage them, so we talked for a little while. Then Joseph asked me, "Do you go to church?" I responded, "I haven't been in a while, but I'm Catholic." He proudly told me that he had been baptized at Elevation Church 2 months prior and that I should check it out. I brushed it off and continued to encourage him about his own struggles. Finally, Tasha joined our conversation when Joseph turned to me saying, "I'll make you a deal. I'll work with the Urban Ministry Center to find a job, and I'll quit drinking, but only if you come to church." I truthfully didn't care. How was he going to know if I didn't go or not? But that thought was short-lived when Tasha and Joseph began coordinating which service we would be attending the next day. I reluctantly agreed, thinking he had the harder end of the deal. He had to quit drinking. I only had to put out an hour of my time to be moving, and then I'd move on with my life after that. At the 11:30 the next day, I approached Elevation Uptown with a group of Tasha's friends. There was Joseph standing there on the steps to go in. My first sermon was during Death to Selfie, when God shows up in the middle of nowhere. The music was loud, but eventually the sermon began, and that was when Pastor Stephen separated the letter magnets on the fridge and announced that God was now here. He is here now. Then Joseph grabbed my hand and he squeezed it for the remainder of the worship experience. I can remember as I was standing there holding hands with the homeless man who had invited me, hearing Pastor Stephen proclaim that God is an ever-present help in times of trouble, that I felt the shame melting off my body. Disappointment was leaving me, and I physically felt lighter in that moment. It felt like my life was just starting again. It didn't require a certain number of Hail Marys. It didn't require me to speak to a priest about my sins, confessing and repenting from the other side of the wall. My life was saved, and I ran back to Jesus' arms as a result of a homeless man saying, "Come sit with me." I haven't seen Joseph since that day. I don't want to pretend like I'm skipping through the fields of daisies since that moment. I straddled the line between my partying days and my friends and my future, but I did join an e-group and an e-team, and that weekly commitment later became the bridge that allowed me to walk boldly into my future, leaving behind those friends and that lifestyle. My e-group has become my best friends, a source of inspiration and fuel for my growth. They challenge me and encourage me and have supported me through the steps of obedience that I felt God calling me to take. I went from a crawling baby Christian consuming everything that I was fed to me to walking confidently alongside Christ, itching to become more of a contributor. I've been able to start an e-group and invite people and see people accept Christ as a result. Immeasurably more could certainly be used to describe that, what God has done in my life, but it feels like an understatement of the century, of eternity, really. My word for 2016 is impact. Elevation Church is the vessel to get me to know Christ. I suppose the way of me expressing my gratitude for the impact that the church has had on me is to continue to try to be that light, that city on a hill to people I meet, especially those living the way that I lived. I truly feel like God is using my gift of easily relating to all types of people this year. He's using me to reach the religious, the rule-bound, the addiction-stricken. I asked God to use me, and in turn, He's asked me to help try to reach 100,000 people. After seeing what God has done in my life, me, as I write this, I'm in tears imagining what 100,000 people would look like, and I'm all in. Teary-eyed, guys, just a mildly teary-eyed. So I think that's pretty incredible that Joseph was at the Urban Ministry Center and as someone that attends our church that needed help, and he was the one who eventually invited Caitlin. But at the end of the day, that invitation to be a part of outreach is what changed Caitlin's life. And while a lot of people will say no on occasion, like, "Hey, do you want to come to Elevation?" "No, I won't." And they'll do the same thing. "Oh, no, I won't." An invitation to serve is something that I think everyone has that in their heart, to the search for significance. They want to be a part of that. And I think there are a lot of stories like this. And I'm going to this year be focusing a lot on using outreach as an invitation to the church, like the first step that people take. And I think that that's going to be a really cool way for us to continue to build the church, develop relationships, and share Christ. So I'm super excited about that. Now on to the work stuff. Are you guys ready? Okay, we'll stretch out a little bit. So we've made a lot of transitions since Love Week last year. And this is our first time to get all together as a big group. But I wanted to talk through some transitions and help you understand why real quick, so that as we move forward, you can understand and we can all be on the same page. We're working on decentralizing. It means that every campus is going to kind of be unique in what they do through outreach. We'll still centrally push initiatives, but at the end of the day, having just central support for outreach is like a cap or a roof. And so we want to make sure we take that off and that we're able to impact the communities like we want to. And so we have officially at all of our Charlotte-based campuses and really at our other campuses too, although we're still kind of growing those staff groups, we have a staff person that is responsible for outreach at those campuses. And so I'm going to kind of just hustle off some names. And then I also want you to know that we've got a lot of new coordinators in place. And so we've made a lot of transitions. Some of our coordinators that were focusing at campus levels have moved to central roles. Some people have moved. Like, there's just a lot of things happening. And so some people have been here for a long time and they're sticking around and they're staying, and we will not let them go anywhere. But just want to make you aware of some things. So Jesse Schumann, who's awesome. He really loves the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's our campus staff person at Blakeney. At Concord, we've got Kelly Sumner. So a lot of these staff people are doing a dual role. And so like Kelly is worship and outreach, and some people are e-groups and outreach, and some people are e-kids and outreach or ACP and outreach. Like whatever it is, this is a part of their position. We have had staff reps in the past where they're they're more of the person that's in the know not necessarily the person responsible. And so this is going to lift some weight centrally and help carry that and help move some initiatives forward at the campus. And so Kelly Sumners will be that person. At Concord, coordinators staying the same. Gaston, we've got Andrew Jensen, who's a producer in outreach. He was just like, hey, sign me up. I love outreach. I want to be a part of it more. So he and Jonathan are working on that. At Lake Norman, we've got our ACP, Scott Hosey, working with Brian Matthews, Bethany Starup from eKids with John and Amanda Nichols. I can never say that right. They'll probably never see this video, NBD. Anyway, they moved here to be a part of our church, and so that's pretty cool. Love Week was actually their first week at the church when they came and actually moved here to be here. So that's pretty awesome. And now they're super involved in in outreach. Tanya Bendixon is the outreach staff person at Providence and at Weddington, and so she's going to be leading both of those teams. We've got, who are our other people? Jason Nicholas down at Rock Hill with Pamela and Kayla. Stephen Finch at the GTA with Nadine. This is her first day. First thing she was ever watching. She doesn't even know how awesome it is. Hey, Nadine. I'm not even going to try to say your last name today. We'll work on that. Barb Urch up at the UC with Natasha and Rosie. Ashley Kane at Uptown with Samantha and Christy. And then at Weddington, new coordinators are Janelle and Will Huffman. And so we're plugging a lot of new people in, a lot of people that are super stoked and super passionate about outreach. And so we're super excited about that. We're really working on developing our teams, filling up the roles, and finding all the right people that are passionate. I love that when you find your sweet spot on the campus, that it's not work, it's an opportunity to make an impact. And I love that how our team works together to impact the community. It's pretty sweet to see everyone working their best, giving their best effort and doing something that they love, and how cool of a product that's like pushed out of it. So thank you for that. Central transitions. So a lot of the, what we call the Special Forces team is staying the same. Big changes. Christy Beezy's taking more of a central role. And so Beezy's there. Suzanne Spangos is overseeing hospitality and events team. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. And then Sarah Graham is transitioning into a project management support role. And so she's going to be helping the project managers with their purchases and tool bank and all of that stuff. And so moved from the coordinator role at Matthews to helping out centrally. And so we're super excited about those central transitions that are happening. And now Love Week. I got the numbers, and I don't even want to tell you because I can't remember. I think it's like 126 days until Love Week. That's terrifying. It's not that far away. But we've done this before, so we're ready. And so as long as we get to it, we'll be fine. Over the past 6 years, we've served 279,612 hours in 6 weeks. So in those 6 Love Weeks, we've served that many times. Last year alone, we did 1,124 events in partnership with 199 organizations, and we served 72,049 volunteer hours. That's obscene. I mean, that is unbelievable what we were able to lead and accomplish. And again, we can't do that alone. We need every one of us to get in there and give our best effort. And we need to recruit other people that are passionate and are skilled at, different things to get plugged in. But super excited about that. This year, expecting more than 75,000 volunteer hours. What's crazy is if you think back to like 2010, our goal for an entire year was 100,000 volunteer hours during the Orange Initiative. And now we're saying we're going to try to do 75,000 hours in 8 days, Saturday to Saturday. Holy cow, that's overwhelming and awesome. And it's so cool to be a part of a church like this. Anyway, 75,000 volunteer hours, serve with more than 225 organizations is kind of the goal, and doing 1,250 events. So just so you know how I came up with all of this, we're expecting a 13% growth from Love Week last year to Love Week this year. And so I want to keep events at an overall like 80% capacity filled. We had a lot of events that filled to maximum capacity, which is great. It is awesome. I love when an event is full, and nothing feels better than to have everyone show up. But if all of our events are full, there's no opportunity for people to sign up and get engaged. So we'd love to stay at as a campus, 80 to 85% capacity to make sure we have enough events for people to sign up for and to be engaged with. And so in just a little bit, I guess maybe you guys can do this at home or with your groups, that I had a text right there. It was so loud in my ears. Anyway, we'll give you your campus breakdowns of what we're expecting for each campus and your goals so you guys can see it broken down. And I think that'll be a little bit more manageable. Like thinking of 75,000 volunteer hours is like, oh my goodness, big gulps. What do I do? And when we break it down into campuses, it's not too crazy. We increased some of the goals from last year. We decreased others. Some places we didn't plan enough events. We had 109% capacity at one campus, and so they just didn't have enough events to support the number of people that wanted to serve. In other places, they only were at 60% capacity. So we're looking at all of those, and that's how I came up with the numbers. We're looking at events that are 2 to 3 hours in length. You guys know what a great event is. 7 events is kind of the goal, around 20 volunteers at each. We know that some organizations are going to have a lot more than 7 events. Others will struggle to have 7. Maybe we'll have 3 or 4, but we want to make a goal of having 7 events, and that's how we're going to end up reaching that goal of 75,000 volunteer hours. And it's not really like, honestly, that we're pushing to get 75,000 hours so we can just shout it out. Like, that's how many I'm projecting that we need so that there's enough volunteer opportunity for the people attending our church. So that's not like a stretch goal. It's like, oh my gosh, we need that just so that we can have enough for people to do. Don't panic. Do you like that? I have my gloves on and they're old. I look like, anyway, it's freezing in here. Okay, so don't panic. We have so many planning resources for you. The events team and hospitality team, they're here for you. So if you're planning a meal, you do not, if you're new, just listen. You do not have to figure out what you're cooking, what you need to buy at the grocery store, or even how much chicken to buy or how many hamburgers. We have a team that does that. And so Suzanne Spangos and her team will help calculate all of that stuff. Same goes with hospitality team, or excuse me, that was hospitality team, events team. If you're doing something like a carnival, you don't have to plan a carnival because we do those all of the time. And so you don't have to plan those. And you could say, hey, I'd love to do this carnival for 50 kids this age, and we can come up with the events for you to do, which is going to be a lot easier than every single person planning the same exact type of an event all across our country. Let's just collaborate and make things happen that way. That's going to be extremely helpful. And then project managers, they've been an incredible resource for us over the past couple years. And so they're still in place. They're going to be the ones you don't have to learn how to measure mulch or measure paint. We've got a team that will do that. Now, if you know anyone that would be passionate about any of those 3 positions, they love to plan parties, they love to have fun, they're great at landscaping or painting or any of those things, we need people on those teams, but that's how those central teams are supporting and how your campus project managers or events team are going to be supporting you as you plan. So don't panic in that realm. And also, one initiative that we've been working on right now is our outreach calendar for 2016. Look at me in the eyes. I need you to do that. And the reason is, if we can get all of the ongoing events, which means Urban Ministry Center, which we talked about earlier, they serve lunch every single day, 365 days a year from 10 to 12 o'clock. And they need 10 volunteers. And so if we contact them early enough, which we did, if we can, then we can reserve those volunteer spots and we can have them on lockdown for Love Week. But if we wait, then another church or another organization or business could jump in and say, hey, we would like to serve on July 9th. And then all of a sudden that opportunity is gone because we didn't save it first. That's all of the low-hanging fruit. And so by going through with your outreach partners and figuring out what are the ongoing opportunities that occur, whether it's Love Week or not. The food pantries are always having volunteers come in and sort goods. How many volunteers do they have in each shift? What times are their shifts? Let's procure those, save those, and that should account for about 70 to 80% of the volunteer opportunities that we do for Love Week. So sorting, a lot of them, there could be reading programs that are like every Tuesday we do reading, or serving meals. Like those are kind of the consistent things. And then on top of that, we'll plan all of the extra special, like dream big. Oh man, it would be really cool if you painted this room, or if you ran a special event for my clients. All of that stuff, yes, we want to hear about it. We want to do it. But don't miss procuring the easy, ongoing opportunities right now. Because if we do the 2 hours of work now in February, it will save us literally like 40 hours of work, if not more, later in the year when we're trying to scramble to come up with events like painting or landscaping. And so please go on there and then let us know, like, hey, I've already procured this. Urban Ministry Center already knows we're coming. We have all of the meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We have all of breakfast and lunch. We have all of the times in the garden. We have all of the cleaning opportunities. We have everything. And the Uptown campus already has more than 60 events procured just from calling 6 different organizations. And so let's get ahead of it and get us on the calendar so that they just know, the Ronald McDonald House doesn't just plug in a family to serve. They save that opportunity for us to serve lunch or breakfast or dinner. That's going to be very, very helpful as we try to reach this goal of 1,250 events. So please put that online. And by using that Google Doc that your coordinators have, that will also be a great resource for our e-groups later on, because you can sort it out by campus and then say, I want to know everything that's going on Wednesday. Sort it out and then connect. Your coordinators will be able to connect with the liaisons and say, hey, I've got someone interested in serving at your organization on a Wednesday. Can you help make that connection? We're not making up outreach events for people to serve at. It's already occurring. And you can then contact your organization and say, we have a group that would love to serve dinner on one Thursday. When's your next available time? And then we can help people more easily serve. And so please fill that up. Our goal is to get that done by the end of this month, and then we'll be able to use it for years to come, because that stuff doesn't change. And that's going to be really helpful for next year for Planning Love Week. But please get on that. And the last thing I want to share with you real quick is the opportunity that I think we have. A lot of us who have been on, we have had almost 400 people fill out playbacks for events. So if you don't know what that is, ask your coordinator. But I really do believe that we have the best opportunity in outreach to grow the church, to grow e-groups and e-teams, our campuses, increase giving, and tell stories, like all of those things, because at our campuses, people are walking in and out of the worship experiences all the time. And sometimes you just so happen to lock eyes with someone and can have a conversation, but other people fly under the radar. But at an outreach event, we have people on lockdown for an hour or two. And so we really do have an opportunity to get to know people's names and their stories. And the stories don't have to be outreach focused. It could be about how they got to elevation or what God's doing in their lives. But I really want to encourage you to make your best effort to secure a story and put that on a playback. It just needs to be some bullet points of someone you met. Add the picture, like, here's a cool story. You should follow up with this one. This person's incredible. Whatever you need to do, it's going to be awesome. And that we don't miss the opportunity to talk about e-groups and e-teams as well at our events, because then to make sure that we help them get connected. We can't just put them in playback and forget about them, but to get them connected to an e-group or e-team so that they can take the next step in their faith. Serving is fantastic. It's awesome, and outreach is awesome. But at the end of the day, we want the people to be connected to the local church and be able to grow deep in their faith as well. And so don't miss those opportunities. Put them in your playbacks. You guys are absolutely incredible. I'm going to pray for you. If you're in Roanoke or Raleigh and you're meeting with your crew right now, awesome. Go do that. Other people, get connected with your coordinator this week. Catch up on all of their campus things. We're going to do a campus breakout after this so that people can talk about their campus-specific goals. But you're incredible. I'm grateful for you. Next time we'll all be together is the All Outreach Love Week meeting. Those are always really fun in the warehouse. And it's going to be great. It's going to be incredible. I can't believe we get to do this. Thank you for all you do. Let me pray for you, and then we're out. God, you're awesome. Thank you so much for this day and for what we get to do. Thank you for allowing us to be your hands and feet on this earth, Lord. We know that you don't need to use us, but that you do. Blows my mind, and we're grateful. Thank you for allowing us to be a part of a church that is so generous, that loves to partner with people, and that has a significant impact in people's lives. God, it's awesome. It's credible. And we will not take this for granted. It's in your name that we pray. And all God's people said, amen.